I feel compelled to serve the people of John County because it's where I've grown up my whole life. Literally, there's not one road in John County that I haven't worked on. I have a lot of members through the county and I see it every day. So you take pride in somewhere where you came from. It's what you hear about. It's my job.
A motion to approve a resolution declaring intent to proceed with election on the question of renewal of an emergency tax levy of 6 8/10 mills outside of the 10 mill limitation for the purpose of providing $1,200,000 for each year for 10 years for the emergency requirements of the school district, and place the question of such renewal before the voters at the election scheduled for May 8th, 2018. Make a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, since we were last, are we allowed to discuss now?
Discussion.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So since it's been a month, have we gotten an item? I know you had asked for an itemized
Yeah, I requested an itemized, we received the assumptions that were included in the last 5-year forecast. And under the assumptions, there was, but basically it says that we had a list of capital expenditures that we needed to update the facilities. So I requested a detailed list of that so that we had more information about what items needed to be renovated or purchased. And then I wanted the estimates included with that. When I received the list, we all did. Some of them had estimates, some of them did not. There was a big
Same day.
Yeah, I think it was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it.
Early last week.
Does anybody have a copy? I missed it.
I have it on my phone. Hold on one second. You guys can continue while I do that.
So, just to add some commentary, I know there was discussion around this 3.8 mil quote-unquote carryover. What I will say is every district in this county has a carryover, and it's to run the school. So in my opinion, a no vote in this scenario is a vote to run the school into the ground, and I'll just be flat out honest with you. If we don't approve this and put it on the ballot and let people decide, we're essentially running this into the ground. So I just want to call that flat out. You've got West G, who had, a $13.5 million carryover for fiscal year 2017.
What's their annual budget? What does it take to operate the school?
Nancy, I think you have, I don't know if you have the detail on that. It's obviously significantly more than us.
Right, so
However,
you gotta take that into account.
Berkshire, 3.4 million carryover.
Again, what's their operation? What are they operating?
All I'm telling you is, we've got an opportunity to continue to operate this school, which is what we need to do for these kids and these students. This is where actions and words and behaviors matter, right? We just said at the beginning of the session, we're for the kids, right? We're for the kids. And here's why.
It's fair enough that you speak, but you have to allow us to respond.
I will let you respond, but let me put it in context. When I see an article in the paper that says the 2 Newbury board members are in the Berkshire meeting to vote on a $20 million bond for their community, that's alarming to me. That's where actions and
Why is that
words.
alarming to you?
There's no alignment on this board. Listen.
I gotta call to order. I have to be able to hear the discussion so that we can make an informed decision.
We haven't
Please.
established trust on this board. First and foremost, that's the biggest issue I have. We've got no trust on this board. The first executive session we had, we invited outside people in who quite honestly have a desire to see the school go away. They've made it public, they've said it public, they stand by it. That doesn't establish trust with me. So I've got an issue with that. Until we can get aligned as a board, having members go in and sitting in a neighboring community meeting to talk about what they're doing.
What would we be doing there?
That's what I want to know.
Becoming
Because
informed.
that's the perception in the community.
Becoming informed
Informed about what?
about the
Everybody's direction. As a community, you heard somebody say today that Mr. Munn, it was Jeff Munn, said that all districts are dealing with declining enrollment problems. So it's
Absolutely.
our fiduciary responsibility to our township to understand how all townships are dealing with it. All school districts are dealing with it.
So it's also
You
your
find that out by going
responsibility
to
to
the board meetings.
approve the levy and let the voters vote it.
We asked for levy money because we know that we need it. We asked for the financial forecast so that we can make sure that we need it and we know how much we need.
You think any other district is spending
We don't put
10
levies on
right
for
now?
political purposes.
Absolutely.
To send messages. We do it because we need it.
Absolutely, that's
So
why I'm
I
sitting
would
here.
like to make sure that we need it and we know how much we need. I am not trying to set this district up to fail. I don't know how many times I have to say that. Are we better in November when we put ballots up? If we find that we get the financial information back.
Well, here's the reality.
Listen, if we find out that we get the financial information back, hopefully this month, okay, so we can have a discussion once we get that done. I'm saying I support that. Once we have that information, we have 3 other tries after May. We have November, next May, we have next November.
Here's the reality.
We
have until February 22nd to pull this off the ballot. If we don't vote for it now, it goes to November.
Right, so I
Why
was
wouldn't we give our
gonna ask,
community an
that's why I
opportunity?
was looking for the expenditure list so that I could see what we're gonna be spending that money on in the next 5 years. I did wonder if we could table it, because, but then there's a date on there that I don't know if that,
The 7th is the cutoff. We have to have it into the Board of
Right, I know.
Elections by the 7th.
I know.
That's why
I
I'm
wanted to
saying,
table
we
it
can
till we
always,
have the-
we can always vote it in, and then sit in a special session to pull it off if you guys feel something is a red flag in the budget.
So if we vote now to put it in front of the voters, we still have time to pull it back if you get your audit and it shows what you think it's going to show. But if it shows that, as we all know how it's going to pan out, that we need this levy and that we need this because no matter what the game plan is down the road, we still and always will need to be financially stable.
agreed.
So why don't we vote to put these renewals on? They're not new, they're renewals. Put them on. If you get your audit back and there's a red flag, we can pull it.
So don't you think that it would be more responsible to get that financial information back and then have the conversation, the bigger conversation with our district, with our community on which direction we're going?
I think,
So that we can, I'm asking the board to weigh in. I want to know how you don't understand bringing in to find out where we're going. If $2.8 million is what is shown in our 5-year forecast to spend on capital expenditures in this building, if that's how much money of the people in our community's money that we're going to spend,
Right.
don't you think that we have to have a larger conversation first?
I think you and myself and Kirk have been voted in by the people and the community to help guide our school. Our first priority are the students of this school. And with moving down in the future, whether we decide to consolidate, whether we decide to merge, we still have to be financially viable.
Yes.
So,
I'm not saying I would not
but this
support this.
building, but I guess what I'm saying is, the 2.8 million, if you're doing what you say you're gonna do, which is gonna be explore every avenue, we've been down this road before, and it's been 3 to 4 years with Berkshire the first time when they wouldn't vote at all. Now,
They voted to postpone it. So they got more information in their community, which is where our community is right now too. They're asking for information.
they didn't vote to postpone anything, Kimya, I was in there. They didn't take a vote. So what I'm telling you is, to do this properly, if you're going to do the West Yaga exploration, if you're gonna do the Berkshire exploration, it's still gonna take 3 to 4 to 5 years. That's the way we've been down this path. We have curriculum to put together, we have busing issues to put together, right now we have housing issues to put together. We can't just jump at the new shiny penny. We've talked about this.
Yes.
And we've also talked that it takes a timeline. So let's set ourselves up, and more importantly, our students, for success, which takes money. And not new money, because even the old board voted, and we all had said, and we came to you after the last new money, and we told you, we cannot, in good conscience, keep coming to you with hat in hand. That's what we said, and we're not doing that. We're asking for renewals, to keep educating the kids at the level we're educating them.
So in 2009, when that first levy was put up, we put on it for 10 years, right?
Right.
So you do that with a limited time to put the levy, and at that 10-year mark, you reevaluate it to see if you still need it to operate. You don't just assume that when you put it on in 2009 that that's going to continue to need, you're going to continue to need it to operate. What I'm asking for is that we reevaluate that. Over the last 5 years, right, so what I'm, right, we don't have those results
Well,
back.
listen, we voted yes to do that.
Right.
We
I agree,
Now-
yes,
now-
I thank you.
Here's my concern. The bigger issue for me is we're creating uncertainty in this community. Now, I know there's people that sat in that session over in Burton who apparently talked to the superintendent, and they have their agenda, and you said it in your note right at the beginning. They voted you in because they want you to put this school away. You know what?
That's what
They're sitting in that
people are
session.
telling me. I'm
hear
saying
that.
if you want me to assume that, then what are we even talking about? I don't want to assume that.
That's
I
what
want to
I'm saying.
assume that the
So
people
don't
elected us
assume.
so that we can find out this
So don't
information.
assume.
I'm
Let
saying,
us at least get this on the ballot, and if it comes back and it's red flags, and
so
you guys.
you support asking for this, not knowing for sure
We've
how
been on
much
this
we
board.
Yes, because our financial forecast from our treasurer says we're gonna need it.
We're gonna need the renewal, just so.
I want to refrain from public input. Please, I'm calling to order.
Right
Please,
now.
no. I'm going to be removed.
I'm a West Chief.
I'm trying to have a discussion with our board, please.
Then you should go into
All right,
executive session.
now, I want you out.
Executive session.
You have to go. You have to go.
Executive session is where you discuss it
Please,
in private.
I'm calling to order. Please.
You've been asked to be removed from the meeting for being out of order.
All right, anyways, let's just, instead of getting
Not
all
anyways,
the...
we're not moving on.
You have to
We're not
respect
doing
the
this.
process. I need to be able to hear what the other boards say. Please leave.
Can I answer the question about the hearing?
We're not going to move on until we follow the rules of, we're using Robert's rules. You are out of order, and you've been asked to be removed because you couldn't pull yourself into order. So please excuse yourself, and we'll see you at the next open meeting. You guys should all-
Okay. Nancy?
Go ahead.
Okay, from the Department of Education, comparing your ending cash and your expenses in fiscal year 17 and the 5 years previous, West Geauga had a 46.1% carryover. We had a 19.9.
And what happened to West Geauga's renewal this last time?
That was a permanent improvement. It had nothing to do with the 5-year forecast.
You're saying their actual, what was their actual, what were they running on? What was their actual cost to run their district?
$24,874,000.
And the carryover was 13?
46.1%, 13.5.
Actually, it was 54.6%. The 5-year average for West G is 46.1%.
The 5-year, that's what I was saying.
Oh, sorry.
5-year.
I didn't hear you. That year's carryover.
Kempston's carryover was 32.2. Berkshire's was 16.0.
Percent, you're saying? Or
Percent.
not?
And that's,
16.0, did you say?
yes,
And what are we?
we are 19.9.
with, now why is that? Well, let's go to the capital outlay. And if I could just say that we were elected by our residents, and me putting my stamp to say, yes, we're putting this on the ballot is me saying that I know that we need this money and I'm asking you guys to give it to me. So explain to me, now we're looking at your 5-year forecast here. Capital outlay, we're talking about capital improvements coming from our general fund, 2.144 million, and then we've got the $150,000, or the 750 over that 5-year forecast as well from our permanent improvement levies. Now, if we're looking at, in 2015, we used $11,000 in permanent improvements. In 2016, we used $235,000 in permanent improvements. In 2017, we actually used $74,000 in permanent improvements. Now, our projections for the next 5 years are in excess of $400,000 each year. 470, 405, 409, 413, 417. Here's where my head is at. Okay. Our forecast comes in, we decide how we're going to proceed in terms of talking to other districts. We get that information back, the community overwhelmingly supports staying independent. Let's just play that scenario. That, if you're planning on spending $400,000 a year in capital improvements, we need to know exactly what those capital improvements are, A. B, is that enough? Is $2 million
I provided you a
800,000?
list.
That was, that accounts for 1.4 million. You're saying that we need 2.8 million. We're missing, there's half of it. So where's the other half of the list?
I think the 1.4 million was just for
That's
the windows.
just the window. No, this is what I just, so, the list is right here. This is the estimate list. It's still short. It's still short.
It's still short because there's other capital improvements that weren't on the list. I mean, you always have.
But we need to know, we need to be able to tell our residents, this is what we're going to do to get the building up to snuff for the kids, and this is how we're going to stay viable
Right.
as an independent institution.
But
Now-
I was given, just a couple days to provide that.
But, I mean, if this is something you guys have been looking at, feasibly, years ago, this should have been done. You should have a list of ideas of things and a timeline of when they should be getting repaired.
We're not gonna manage right to the number, because it doesn't give us room in case anything comes up. You don't manage to the number. You just can't do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's all we
I
were.
mean,
Our-
to me, this is a
Okay,
huge point.
so we have 2.8 million estimated, 2.8 million in permanent improvements through 2022. What does our building look like after we spent 2.8 million?
It looks like a well-maintained building.
I'm saying, are we running, are we? What are, is asking, what, are there more? Like, what are we getting for 2.8 million besides repairs? Are we fixing the classrooms so that they're more ergonomically
I
correct?
guess that's
Are
the
we-
question. You obviously have something in your head that you're looking for. What is it?
No, I'm asking, that's part of the question that has to be asked.
Well-
When we start to talk to the other districts to see what's available to our residents, that's a question we have to ask. We can use this, I'm not gonna say 2.8, what would it be? Well, let's just call it 2.8, don't take this number as fact. 2.8 gets Newbury independently this. 2.8 gets our students in another district what? 2.8 gets our students in another district what? We need to look at all of those things before we can say, yes, we need this money, or no, we don't need that
Wait.
money.
What it does, what we're doing is, and you have to remember, you've asked what's been done and why hasn't there been a long-term plan? Well, after the Berkshire thing, and this has all been done, hashed over 1 million times. So after the Berkshire thing, we looked at the West Geauga thing. That fell apart. After that fell apart, we said, and came out publicly, and said, we're going to stay independent. Up until that point, we had been financially responsible. We had been saving money because the first time we thought we were consolidating. The second time we thought we were consolidating. So we saved our pennies, which made us look beautiful to neighboring districts.
But you didn't encumber it.
But once we figured out that, okay, everything's falling apart around us with other districts, Then we said, okay, there are some things that we've let go. And you have to remember, this train didn't just pull out of the station, yesterday. This thing's been going, there's been major repairs and stuff like that, but we didn't have the money. And you can't go to the people time and time again. Like with the last levy, we told people, we're making the school internet accessible all the way through. We need to bring our students up to a certain level. We've done that, and that's what we passed that last levy for.
And we're continuing.
So what we're continuing to do is hold this level of education, and that's what this money is gonna be used for, whether it's for stands, whether it's for the facade of the building. And what that can do later on is make this building, whether you do a territory transfer, whatever you guys are looking into.
You can't say it like.
Marty, you told me you think this goes 4 to 6 years. So why would we
No, I
spend
never
2.8?
said that. We
Yes,
haven't
you
talked
have.
in months.
Marty, you have told me that.
I won't talk to you for months. And I'm gonna tell you right now,
Marty, you have
what I'm
told me
telling
that we
you.
have 4 to 6 years. Why would we spend $2.8 million if you?
Because
we have
then there's
4 to
still a resale value on this building.
What?
You can still sell the building. If it's a territory transfer, this building can still be sold.
So you're saying that.
It's still viable.
in
There
good-
can be
in
a
good
senior
faith,
citizens home put in
You
there,
can ask
right?
your community for more money for our students and then not spend it on our students.
But what I'm saying is we are spending it on our students. We're hedging our bets. We have to do it and make this a viable option. But if you don't vote this levy in, what does that do for the
We
staff?
still
What does
have
it do
three,
for?
there's still 3 attempts.
There is-
Let's get
Yeah,
all
but
of our
Here's
eggs.
the reality, what you have to remember.
Why don't we
is
call this
you-
for a vote?
Yeah, we're gonna have to, but
Yeah, I just
listen,
wanna say, if you're
there's an
gonna-
impact on the community though.
Yeah,
And the
absolutely,
students. So
and
here's
we
what's
need to
gonna
get
happen.
their confidence
We don't
up.
vote it in, and we don't get their confidence up by not putting it on
I
the ballot.
disagree with that, because here's what happens, Kurt.
How can you
Watch
just
it
bring all
drop.
these people,
Watch it drop.
how can you vote for them and for
Out of order.
Let's just.
No,
go
wait,
to-
let me say why that doesn't mesh. That doesn't mesh.
We're not gonna agree on this.
You don't
We're not
have to
gonna
agree, but I can at least tell you
You're
why
right.
I don't find value in what you just said.
I hear you, I'm not finding value in what you're arguing.
You haven't let me say it.
I know what you're gonna say.
The community's already upset.
Okay,
You're right.
Hold on, one
We're-
second.
we're
I just
on
want
a
to say,
bad spot.
I want to say one more thing. When we asked for the last levy, did we not push a message that we needed it, even if you wanted to consolidate, you needed to bring this
I
district?
wasn't on that board.
Okay, not you, but the whoever was
I
on
was.
the board, okay? Can we all agree, because I worked on that levy committee, I heard those come out of board members' mouths, that we need to tell people that even if they don't want they don't have an NM to keep it a single district, that they want to look at consolidation, we need to pass this levy to look at consolidation.
But what you're
So
saying,
when we
like-
take ourselves out of those conversations before a result, don't you think that when you ask people to come back and renew that same levy without having any of those answers for them again, that might be something that we could be a helpful tool to them to be able to know when they sign up for that ballot, or for that vote, that they know what they're voting on?
Nancy, when does it show us being in deficit without these levies, renewals?
We have until November 2021. That's it.
I asked Nancy.
At the end of fiscal year 2021.
No, 5 board members, we'd like to hear.
Call it to order. We are not done.
Well, all right, if you want to hear from me, I'd like to call for the vote on the motion.
Well, could we please hear in the board?
Okay, call the
You'll
vote.
find out when we vote.
Call the vote.
You need help.
3-2.
Make a motion.
Motion?
No, we have.
We had a motion.
Oh, I second the motion.
Mrs. Sark, do you want the vote?
Sorry.
Do you want the vote? Yes, please. Okay, sorry. Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Simpkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
No.
Mr. Sedovy?
No.
Mrs. Sark?
No.
Motion to approve a resolution declaring intent to proceed with election on the question of renewal of an emergency tax levy of 7 7/10 mills outside the 10 million limitation for the purpose of providing $1,356,000
for each year for 5 years for the emergency requirements of the school district, and place the question of such renewal before the voters at the election scheduled for May 8, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Fire it up, Nancy.
So,
We've talked it through.
vote?
Vote.
Okay. Mr. Simpkins?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
No.
Mr. Sedovy?
No.
Mrs. Zoll?
No.
Are you adventure ready? Geauga Park District is your family's place for free summer fun. Biking, kayaking, fishing, hiking, camping, and exploring with naturalists for every age and ability. Plan a visit today at geaugaparkdistrict.org.